All right, welcome back to the Mark David Show, where the truth is a conspiracy. All right, I absolutely have to talk about the recent mainstream media coverage of insider trading from Congress, okay? And of course, I have talked about this on the show. It's blatantly obvious that this happens. I'm sure you know about the 60-minute story by now and their coverage, which was less than adequate, but it's nice that it's in the mainstream, but it's less than adequate. They didn't even talk about, they talked mainly about Boehner and Nancy Pelosi, and skipped over some other people that I'm going to talk about a little bit on this show. All right, so what's going on with the insider trading? Well, essentially that it's going on, and it has been going on for a long time. This is largely, other than direct contributions from Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and so forth, and the prospect of future jobs with these banks and companies associated with them. There's also, hey, by the way, this is Wall Street. We're about to do this deal, this IPO, this, that. You can get in on this, and they do, and they make a lot of money. Okay? And it's been revealed, and the question is, and what 60 Minutes said is, well, it's legal, actually. It's legal to do this. And so, since then, of course, some of the Republican candidates like Rick Perry and Newt Gingrich had to get in on this, and I'm going to play a little clip about what they had to say about the insider trading.
Congress certainly can't be trusted to watch our money, and now it's clear they can't be trusted with theirs. Any congressman or senator that uses their insider knowledge to profit in the stock market ought to be sent to jail, period. And Congress ought to pass a law that says so right now. No ifs, ands, or buts.
The only other alternative would be to simply have them publish all of their holdings, and that maybe it's a choice thing where you say to them, you can either keep managing your own holdings, but you have to quarterly publish what they are, or you can put them in a blind trust.
Now, you notice that both Rick Perry and Newt Gingrich, of course, they're getting in on this, right? And Rick Perry, of course, with the Texas Act, they ought to go to jail from now on. From now on, but they should pass a law that says from now on they'll go to jail for this. But it's like, wait a second, so why is everybody so convinced that this is legal? Because according to Congressman Ron Paul, for instance, it's not. Like there's actually no law that says insider trading, to his knowledge anyway, and he's a congressman, he's been there a long time, that there's no law that says Congress can actually engage in this kind of activity. In fact, let's listen to what he has to say about it.
Well, they shouldn't do it, obviously, because it's unethical, but I'm not positive that the members of Congress aren't under the laws. If you commit fraud in inside trading, I can't see where in the law it's written, except for congressmen.
So Ron Paul is saying, he's not sure that it's actually, they're allowed to do this insider trading. So, okay. So we now know what people have been claiming for a while, that Congress engages in insider trading. They take their largest campaign contributions mostly come from the largest banking institutions, the Federal Reserve, corporations as well. And now they also conduct an insider trading. And as Flashpoints was talking earlier, I mean, you notice how quickly they had a bailout for banks, but no plan, to get us out of the economic situation we're in. Of course, as I've been saying on the Mark David Show for a long time, the debt and the economic downturn is the plan. Let's be adults about this and stop pretending that it's not. Let's all just accept that it is the plan, because essentially what's happening is what banks do for a living. Do you really think banks make all their loans assuming you're going to pay it back? Did the mafia make loan shark loans thinking you were going to pay it back? I mean, come on. The debt is the whole point. So, okay. So now comes the next big question. And I'm not buying that Congress is exempt to insider trade. I'm not buying that. Next comes the big question. Okay, if there is insider trading going on with Congress and there is actual legal ramifications, obviously this would take a massive, massive cover-up. So let's ask one of the best journalists out there, period, probably, arguably the best financial journalist out there, Matt Taibbi of Rolling Stone. Let's ask Matt Taibbi, you and I, on the Mark David Show, how do they cover this up? Because the Securities and Exchange Commission, why aren't they all over this? How do they cover all this up? I'm not the only one who asked him that, by the way.
What is the evidence that the SEC has been destroying evidence?
Well, the SEC has several levels of investigations. Basically, any preliminary inquiry is what they call a MUI, a matter under inquiry. And a MUI is just any investigation that's before the level of a formal inquiry.
Right.
And what they've been doing, dating back to 1993, is they've been destroying the records of any MUI that has not proceeded to a full investigation. So all these preliminary investigations of Bernie Madoff, AIG, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, Lehman Brothers, as many as 18,000 cases, the evidence for all of them has been destroyed. Another thing that the whistleblower who came forward with this case, he also came forward with some examples from his own career as an investigator in which a very, very promising investigation involving securities fraud with Deutsche Bank was suppressed by an enforcement director who a few days later took a job as the general counsel of Deutsche Bank. So we know that this is part of the culture at the SEC. They have most of the people who are running the agency are high-priced political appointees who work for the same banks, or who used to work for the same banks they're supposed to be regulating. And so many of these cases get rejected, and it's by these bureaucrats who are looking to go back to Wall Street and take these multi-million-dollar jobs.
So, in other words, there's no incentive whatsoever. This revolving door that includes that includes the SEC, that includes the regulatory committees. The politicians go and work for them. The regulators go and work for them. So what I'm going to go on now to, speaking of Congress and their shady interaction with Wall Street, which, come on now. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act. And this was the also known as the Financial Services Modernizations Act of 1999. This is from Wikipedia. This is the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act. And essentially, this is the act that repealed the Glass-Steagall Act. And it says, removing barriers in the market among banking companies, securities companies, insurance companies that prohibited any one institution from acting as any combination of an investment bank, a commercial bank, and an insurance company. And I've talked about the Glass-Steagall Act on the show. This is the act that overturned it. And it's important, I want to talk a really briefly minute about some of the characters who Graham, Leach, Bliley, who these guys were. And even actually more importantly, I want to talk about what they're doing now. This was back when they were representatives and senators. They're all Republicans. Not that that really matters, as Matt Taibbi says. You know, they bet on both sides. But Graham now, in 2002, after leaving the Senate, he joined UBS. Okay, there's that. Leach is a member of the CFR, Council of Foreign Relations. Okay, a lot of people are. He's a Republican who broke ranks with the Republican Party and supported Obama, and then was named chairman of the National Endowment for Humanities. And Bliley handpicked Eric Cantor of Virginia, who, by the way, also shorted U.S. Treasuries during the debt limit debate in last early summer. So, I mean, this is... like, all the pieces are falling into place about how all these people, all the politicians, which politicians, you can't say all politicians, but which ones are just so embedded with the banks, how the banks are immune from just giving them all this money. They're immune from, and they can just offer them jobs. They can not only offer them insider information, they can offer them jobs. They can offer them just all kinds of stuff. thank all my global listeners for tuning in. The Twitter account is Mark David Show. Make sure you check it out. And don't forget to like the Mark David Show on Facebook because you'll get my daily Twitter feeds.